Should be live. Let's do this.
If you visit the Rippaverse, you'll see just how I move differently. Got more arm hair than an armchair. That's why they call me Papa Bear, because it is what it is. What it is, ain't it? What it is what it is, and that's it. My business got so many factors, and I got so many detractors. Those suckers gonna meet to me, and Iceland's gonna sue me, because it is what it is. What it is, ain't it? What it is what it is, and that's it. Got 100,000 comics without any buyers, and a lot of insurance for warehouse fires, because it is what it is, and what it is and ain't it. What it is what it is, and that's it. I sold 3D assets to a bunch of asshats for a pile of cash that's all gone up in smoke, because it is what it is. What it is, ain't it? What it is what it is, and that's it. You know a grifter's gonna grift and a scammer gonna scam. Next I'll sell these morons a comic about horsemen, because it is what it is, and what it is and ain't it. What it is what it is, and that's it. You know a grifter's gonna grift and a scammer gonna scam. Next I'll sell these morons a comic about horsemen, because it is what it is. What it is, ain't it? What it is what it is, and that's it.
All right, you guys, without further delay, I am here. Let me go ahead and do my spiel. We're going to have a guest joining me tonight. I'm hoping that it won't be that contentious. Let me go ahead and post on Twitter that I am live. I am live for all you Destiny fans who have questions or whatever. Okay, so that cutscene is unskippable. No, it isn't really skippable. All right, let me get the guest in here, and he is going to be on camera. It's one of the rules. We will be respectful of each other. Let me see. Get in here. Okay, I'm just waiting for him to show up. I'm going to drop him in. I'll set up the cam in studio mode whenever that occurs. But there's quite a bit of stuff going on in the world. I did a stream with Professor Chronicus at the UCW show, and I'm very grateful for the invite, as always. It's always a great time hanging out with those guys. But now that I'm here and I've been able to kind of let the events of that Pennsylvania rally kind of stew in my mind, I got quite a bit of things to say about it. Because one of the prevailing themes in this last week or so is the desire for unity on both sides, primarily being called upon by the modern left of the Democratic Party. And I'm not really interested in unity. That's not to say that I am, openly hostile or wish harm on anybody or anything to that effect, because that's not what I do here on the show. Let's see, I wasn't on Rumble half of the stream. Okay, what's going on, Tony? Thank you for joining. Cheese, thank you for joining. Zubbenbaum, thank you for the green hearts. Sincerely appreciate it. I'm still waiting on the guest, but I don't know. I don't want to be like in the middle of something and then him not show up. Let me see. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, there's a lot. I was just getting dog. Oh shit! I didn't even post it. God, I'm boomering it up. I'm boomering this up so bad. Okay. It's up to the YouTube half. Goodness. Oh, yeah. Are we back? Okay. The microphone should be back. Oh.
Can you hear me all right?
Oh yeah, is that you?
That's me.
Hey,
Going.
what's up, buddy?
What's up? Just give me a second to add this display real quick.
Yeah, of course. In the meantime, let me go ahead and set you up on. Let me get your cam up really quick on
Yeah.
the screen. So, guys, hang tight. Let me go ahead and throw my Discord up here. All right, perfect. Hang in there, everybody. The
I'm
duct
doing
tape
good.
production continues. So, what's going on, man? How you been?
Not much. Great to meet you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is clearly a very implausible meeting. Like today, I didn't know who you were. Someone tweets at me, and then this happens, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity.
Yeah, no, well, thank you. I've been wanting, honestly, like I wasn't really planning on having this type of discussion with anybody, really. Give me one moment. Overlay. Shit. I literally don't even know what I did. Discord webcam. Okay, here we go.
You weren't planning on having this kind of discussion?
No, not with anybody, really.
Well, that's interesting because I thought your tweet was something about that.
No, not necessarily. The only person that I really wanted to converse with was with Willie because here I'm gonna explain to everybody how we got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of important. Give me one moment, everybody. Hang in there. We're getting this. God damn it. Yeah. It was somewhat implausible. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and put this underneath the overlay. Okay. Shit. Feel so autistic trying to accomplish this at this moment.
We're all chill. Don't worry.
Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, there you go. What? All right. Give me one moment. I'm going to try this one more time. I don't know why this is giving me such a hard time. There we go. Okay, now I know exactly what I need to do. Go ahead and remove this.
How's your day been?
Busy
Yeah.
and chaotic. I feel Willie Mac's pain because he was just dogpiled as much as I was. You know, people were getting the wrong idea about what he was saying, and you know, to that I just like I get it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I mean, I come into this conversation with no kind of preconceptions or like understanding of what discussion you're referencing. So if you want to just say more about it, that's cool.
Yeah, I will. Why the fuck is this giving me a hard time? You know what? Give me 1 second. Let me see. Pop out. There we go. I think this is what I really needed. Okay. All right. 5th time's a charm. All right. Let's go ahead. Discord. Yes. Dude, why is this giving me such a hard time? Capture audio, force SDR. Okay. No, that's definitely not it. God damn it. You know what? Let's get out of studio mode. Let's try this really quick. Oh, what the hell? Okay. The fuck happened to my overlay? All right, give me 1 second.
Everything good?
Yeah. You know what? God damn it. This is really, really annoying. Damn. Give me 1 second. I am committed to fixing this right fucking now. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. All right. I think I see exactly what happened. Everybody, I apologize. And I'm going to explain how we arrived here because that's obviously pretty important.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, how familiar are you with some of the comments that, what's his face?
Steven Destiny made?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Pretty specifically familiar with them. I've condemned the ones relating to hoping people be hurt. I sort of agree with his accusations of hypocrisy, but that's the extent of my comments on them. I think that you shouldn't really be expressing happiness or contentness for the suffering or the death of like people for no reason.
Yeah. No, certainly. I have no idea why Discord is wigging out. Not Discord, I apologize, but OBS is wigging out. Yeah, my overlay is gone and it's really annoying.
What's OBS doing?
It's not showing my overlay. Let me see. Here we go.
Do you have a cam for the Discord, or is it just?
Yeah, dude. You know what?
Okay.
We're just gonna do solos. I mean, I'm just gonna do the solo overlay because the other one is just broken. But yeah, let me go ahead and show my screen so you can at least see it.
Word.
All right, give me 1 second. I apologize, everybody, for the delay. Are you streaming?
I sure am. Yeah.
Okay, then you know what? This will fine. This will have to do. Give me 1 moment. Preview
At twitch.tv/piscoliddy.
Yeah, if you want to DM me that, I'll drop it in my chat so people can go ahead and see.
Yeah, we got a bit of a crew here, about 1,000 concurrent.
Nice. Okay, good.
Folks.
Give me 1 moment. All right, let me go ahead and drop down OBS, or not OBS, Discord.
And the millions.
Okay, here we go. And okay, here we go. Perfect. Return to app. Oh my God, so many people are messaging me. Jesus. Share your screen. Go live. Okay, there you go. So you should be able to see my screen now.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Let me try to. 1 second. Grid.
Go ahead, take your time.
Boom. Okay. I can see your screen. The watchfrogs. And you got
Yes.
like some crazy looking dude here.
Yeah. Do you see my cam? You should be able to see my cam.
Yeah, I see you. You see
Okay.
me.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I see like two. I see your real one, and I see some other.
Yeah, that's a
some other
puppet.
guy there.
Yeah, it's a puppet, and there's an animated thing that one of my artists made for me. Yeah, I'm planning to do like an online series. It's kind of based off true crime, but instead of true crime, it's called fake crimes. So I do really fun videos about crimes that are fake that like fooled a bunch of people, and I'm gonna incorporate the puppets, and it's supposed to be really funny. I'm hoping I can like sell it to Ben Shapiro or something and have them fund it. We'll see. But yeah, are you ready? Are we ready to begin?
100%.
All right. Well, let me just go ahead and well, first off, introduce yourself. Like, who are you? What are you about?
Sure.
What kind of content do you do? That sort of thing.
I'm not really a super big content creator. I'm piscoliddy. I'm an attorney. I stream about democracy, the law, court cases, and stuff that affect our life and the structure of American politics.
Okay.
I tweet a lot, and people know me for being really hydrated and taking a close look at people's deranged Trump tweets.
Deranged Trump tweets. Yeah, that's certainly
Not to
me.
lump you in that category. I
Yeah,
just mean
no,
generally.
certainly. Yeah. I'm definitely against deranged tweets, and that's kind of how we got here. We arrived here because of tweets made by here. I'm gonna throw up your thing over here. That's kind of how we got here initially. Um,
Agreed.
Destiny was making some unhinged tweets, which we agree on, and Willie Mack was gonna do a video, or is still doing that video. However, he made that post, which he deleted, unfortunately, where he's like, Destiny's making all these claims about the alternative electors, about the Supreme Court, and all this stuff. And he's like, someone needs to be able to refute this. And I'm like, well, I have experience in this, like professionally. I've worked pretty much every aspect of an election, and I'll reach out to you. So I did. I sent him relevant information, and whatever he does with it, it's whatever he does with it. However, it got a lot of people's attention all day. I've received, I don't even know how many messages. I don't know how many responses that I've gotten. It's died down now that the message was removed. And by the way, Willie Mack didn't do anything wrong. He's not condoning or endorsing or supporting the things that Destiny said. Willie Mack is a solid dude. I just wanted to get that out of the way. But I am of the opinion that our elections are mostly illegitimate. They are not to be trusted for a number of reasons. And that's kind of what we were going to be talking about. But it really boils down to what Destiny is saying and how Destiny arrived at the place that he's at right now, emotionally, mentally, whatever the case. He's under the impression that the United States endured an insurrection. I'm of the opinion that that is not accurate. That seems to be quite an embellishment. It seems to be a bastardization of the truth and the events that unfolded on January 6th. And I'm of the opinion that, President Trump had every right to contest the election, to say that it was rigged, to fight this thing to the bitter end. And he did. And, this narrative that he, was going to hold on to power forever. And, he's like this crazy tyrant fascist guy. He ultimately ended up conceding. We're in 2024 for those who will be listening on the audio only platform. And we're on the brink of another major election, another, consequential election, if you will, probably a civilization changing event. But given the responses that I received today and some of the feedback that I received, the interactions I had with what I presume to be Destiny's fans, nobody has closure on this matter. People are not satisfied with what took place in November of 2020, and nobody is satisfied with what took place in January 6th of 2021. So let's just start with like the insurrection stuff first. So you're of the opinion that there was an insurrection, is that correct?
Yes, I am definitely that opinion, but I think we need to start even earlier than that. You started by like a kind of a broader statement, which I think feeds into the question of insurrection and might ultimately determine the course of this conversation, and that is that elections in the United States are broadly illegitimate. Is that a fair characterization of your view?
As of 2020, yes.
As of 2020, yes. So it is your opinion that there's evidence that shows that Donald Trump was the rightful winner of the 2020 election?
No, because the election departments were threatened to be sued by Mark Elias, the top legal mind of the Democratic Party. Nobody has seen these ballots. Nobody has seen the information. There has been no meaningful audit of this process whatsoever, which is a rallying cry for the Democratic Party or the modern left. After the victory of Trump in 2016, one of the primary rallying calls from the left was, we need transparency in elections. We need electoral transparency, which I wholeheartedly agree with. There was no closure for the modern left after the 2016 victory of Donald Trump.
When you say there was no closure, what do you mean by no closure?
Well, Madame Clinton has not conceded to her defeat. She has repeatedly disputed the victory of President Trump. She says that he's an illegitimate leader. The election was bullshit. I mean, I know I'm generalizing here, but she does not She disagrees with the outcome of the election. She disputes the fact that President Trump rightfully won that election.
And
a
you, of
lot
course, relate to her,
American,
right? I mean, you relate to her and you think that she has a point because
no,
there
I
was no
don't.
closure.
No, I do not. I cannot relate to her merely because, for those who don't know, Hillary Clinton used the Green Party, I believe it was Jill Stein, to do some sort of audit, I believe in Michigan, specifically Detroit.
How
And
sure are you of that?
I'm almost certain. Because
Would it
what they
surprise
found
you to
was,
know
yeah, go
that
on.
Hillary Clinton opposed that lawsuit? Would that surprise you?
Well, she says that now because they were finding
I'm sorry.
irregularities. They were
Would it
finding
would it
irregularities
surprise
in the
you?
process.
Would it surprise you if Hillary Clinton was at least formally against that lawsuit?
No, it doesn't surprise me because I'm aware of her public position, but there was an attempt to
So
prevent.
how do you know that Jill Stein is connected to Hillary Clinton, that Hillary Clinton managed and promoted Jill Stein's election challenges?
Well, call it a hunch. Call it
So
intuition.
do you
I
have
don't have
evidence of that
concrete
or
proof.
not?
I don't have concrete
Okay,
proof. No,
so
I
I'll
am
eliminate things. Do you
assuming
think it's
that
fair
is
for
the
me to
case.
eliminate things for which you do not have proof for? Is that fair of me to do?
That's fair, but I'm just letting the people know where I'm coming from. Letting
Well,
the
why are
viewers
you
know
coming
where I'm
from a place where you don't have proof of?
What do you mean?
Why would you start by speaking about Hillary Clinton's efforts with respect to Jill Stein's lawsuits in various states if you don't have evidence that she did that?
Well, it stands to reason that an individual like Hillary Clinton, who disputes and rejects the outcome of the 2016 election, I mean, this is her feelings. This is public record.
She didn't file any lawsuits.
Yeah, but that's besides the point. Now there's an opportunity, conveniently coming from Jill Stein's camp, to contest this election and to uncover
But you haven't
what
connected her
transpired.
to it. How did she connect it to it? She can't control Jill Stein if she files a lawsuit.
I'm letting you know. It's just it's intuition. You know, it doesn't stand to like. Does it make any sense that she's openly rejecting the outcome of the 2016 election, and now there's this other individual contesting the results of the election, trying to get to the bottom of what transpired in 2016, and conveniently she just openly rejects that? No, I believe she put them up to it.
There's nothing entailed by being publicly and avowedly against an election and signing on to a particular election. There could be different reasons why one might sign up to one challenge and not the other. Second, your premise is just fundamentally wrong this entire time, which is that Hillary Clinton, so far as the voting and the counting of votes is concerned, she did not reject the results of the election and conceded the next day.
She did, but after the fact, much like President Trump, he rejected the outcome in 2020, and he still continues to, but he also conceded when appropriate.
So to be clear, you do not have any evidence that Hillary Clinton promoted, agreed to, suggested, or in any way affected the decision for Jill Stein to file a lawsuit, but it's your intuition.
It's my intuition, yeah. It seems.
Do you think that that's like something I should be weighing heavily? That, oh, this guy's intuition, which you can't back up with evidence of any kind, should be influencing me in how I don't know, determine the closure or non-closure of the 2016 election?
Yeah, that's fair. Again, we can agree to disagree. Again, your assertion about what transpired on J6. I don't even know your opinion on the 2016 election. I mean, we can agree to disagree. I'm just
don't you
letting
think Trump
everybody know.
won the 2016 election?
I do. I believe he won it legitimately.
Why do you think Trump won it?
Well,
You said all elections are run illegitimately in the country.
well, I said as of 2020. As of 2020.
So I'm sorry. Every election that you know of prior to 2020 was run fairly.
No, I don't know that for a fact. I'm
You have no reason
assuming
to
that is the
think any
case.
election. Okay, so here we go. You have no reason to assume any election other than 2020 was run unfairly.
For now, yeah.
Okay, so why did you bring up the 2016 election as anything?
Well, we need to. I'm going to tie this all together. There
Okay.
was. I'm a registered Democrat, for those who don't know, and I've been involved in politics for a long time, and I've been interested in politics for a long time. And there is a long-standing tradition among the Democratic Party to reject the outcomes of election. We saw this in the year 2000. I believe there was a little bit of grumbling in 2004, and certainly after 2016. And at that point in time, everybody, at least American, was really getting into the meat and potatoes of how these elections, transpire, how they're conducted, et cetera, et cetera. But prior to that, everybody was kind of asleep at the wheel, and they just assumed, everything was hunky dory. But there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the process, as we saw in 2020.
But you don't question any election prior to 2020. Is that a correct statement of your opinion?
No, there's certainly a few that, that there's probably issues with.
Like
Grover,
could you name any others?
Yeah, Grover Cleveland. After his first run, he is of the opinion that he won legitimately, and he ended up coming back.
What is your evidence to suggest that you're talking about Grover Cleveland's second election or his first?
The second, because he won the
The
first
one he lost,
but he lost the second
sorry,
one.
there's three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what evidence do you have to question the results of Grover Cleveland's second election?
Well, I don't have the materials ahead of me. Like I said, there was no prep here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, just to be clear, it's a little bit picking and choosing. Like you say, you don't question the 2016 election, but why should we have confidence in that one as opposed to any other election?
Well,
you do believe that Trump won 2016, so I just don't understand.
Yeah, but a
why
lot
are
of
you
people
confident he won?
reject the outcome of the 2016
I'm asking about
election.
you. I'm asking. So I don't really care. There could be crazy people who contest elections, and it could even be the case that Hillary Clinton deep down thinks something, or there's a quote somewhere that you surprised me on. I doubt it. But regardless, I'm asking solely about your beliefs. You trust the 2016 election. Why do you trust the 2016 election?
That's an excellent question. Well, it's his victory was a civilization-changing event. I was able to witness the campaign that was conducted. I wasn't a part of it. And again, there was just no credible evidence that was brought forth after the fact that the election was hacked by the Russians, which is a claim made by the modern left, the establishment party. They said that it was rigged for sure, hacked, rigged, or that the Russian government somehow interfered in it on behalf of President Trump. Again, there's no evidence for any of these claims.
Makes a lot of sense. That to me, that explanation makes a ton of sense. So what you basically said was, this was a civilization-changing election, and of all the claims that were promoted by conspiracy theorists, none of them had substantial evidence behind them.
Correct.
Don't you think I think that's a pretty good standard to decide whether or not we choose to believe an election is fair or not. If there is no significant evidence that shows that there was any malfeasance, then we have no reason to believe it was flawed, and we're going to accept it. Do you accept that framework?
Yeah, certainly. However, I can be sympathetic towards members of the modern left, members of the Democratic Party that reject the claim. However, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So
I totally agree.
I'm led to believe that the Russians interfered in the election, where are the receipts? 2016 was a long time ago. We're in 2024. No tangible, concrete evidence has been produced to suggest otherwise. No,
I totally agree. I think that's actually really smart, and it's a good point to make, that if
Absolutely.
the Democrats had excellent evidence that the fucking Russians hacked election machines or some shit, or whatever the crazy shit that they were saying on MSNBC, we would expect to see proof of it, and they were totally empty-handed.
Yeah, throughout the entire way. And what we saw was lawfare launched against President Trump's administration, thwarting his ability to really govern effectively. If you want to make the argument that he was robbed of his opportunity to govern effectively, people can make that claim. And, this stuff is important. And again, my personal philosophy about government is, one, I don't trust governments. And my worldview suggests that the government is always guilty. So if the government is making a claim, they need to be able to prove that claim. So if the government, I'm just speaking broadly here, is claiming that President Trump won the 2016 election, well, they need to be able to prove it. I think that's really important. People need to be able to look at the ballots. People need to be able to look at the machines. People need to be able to be clued in on how this process works and transpires. Apparently, a lot of people didn't. And there were individuals
Can I ask
who were
a clarifying
trying to...
question here about burdens?
Yeah, sure.
So you just said something that I think makes sense, is if you make a claim, you have to be able to prove it. Don't
Correct.
you think in 2016 that the burden of proof was on Jill Stein or a Democrat?
Well, it was on Hillary Clinton. It was really on Hillary
the burden
Clinton.
of proof is on her, right? It's not on us to disprove the existence of fraud in 2016, right?
Sure.
Okay. So you agree, and tell me if you disagree with this standard. Standards are smart because if you have a standard, we can apply it to different situations and be consistent in our analysis. So as a general standard for assessing whether an election was run fairly, don't you think a good standard might be, if a challenger is able to provide substantial evidence of voter fraud, or some other kind of defect in the election, then we can. Oh, I don't know if you're. I see myself twice.
Yeah,
Oh,
do you
you're
mind
showing
if I
your,
throw you
no,
up
I
on
don't.
the
I don't.
mini
I don't
display?
mind.
Sweet,
That's
cool.
that's fine. So I'm going to repeat myself. So a standard might be like, if you're able to produce substantial and good evidence that there's a defect in the election, maybe then we can say that there are in fact defects. But if you're unable to provide convincing and substantial proof of election integrity issues or defects, then our assumption maybe should be that the election was conducted fair. You think that's a good rule, a general rule?
Yeah,
And the burden of proof is on the person claiming the impropriety, who has to prove the claim.
Yes. However,
Okay.
elections are very, very unique because of the way that the process folds out throughout multiple states. And I mean, goodness, I don't even know where to begin because this issue is so complex. And like, again, there were irregularities in virtually all of the swing states. And I'm going to include Nevada. Yeah, in 2020. And I'm going to include Nevada and Arizona in that process. And one of the major, turning point for President Trump, because he was on track to win that election, was the introduction of mail-in ballots. And when you introduce, or if you change the process, it needs to go through appropriate channels. The state legislature is in charge of the way that elections are conducted throughout the states. The state legislature, for the most part, was not really involved in this process. You had justices and government clerks that were basically creating, new rules out of whole cloth. And that is a problem.
Let's take that. Can we take that one claim? I think that's a really good claim to start on. Okay. So, for example, in Arizona, you believe the introduction of mail-in ballots in 2020 was a huge problem. That the majority of people in 2020 use mail-in ballots.
Yeah, it's a major problem because
that's fine. Let's take that. Are you aware that Arizona has been doing mostly mail-in ballots for years now? Before
what do you
2020?
mean mostly mail-in ballots?
That Arizona spearheaded a major initiative years before 2020 to do the majority of votes by mail-in ballots.
What year?
Are you aware of that or not?
I don't know if that may or may not be the case, but the primary mode of voting throughout the country is in person.
We're talking about states, right? You said they're different in how the states are set up,
and that would include Arizona.
Yeah, so it would include Arizona, and so in Arizona, you would agree, wouldn't you, that if one of the primary means of voting was mail-in ballots for years,
it was in person.
How sure are you of that?
I'm almost certain.
Okay, so if I could show you that a majority of voters prior to 2020 used mail-in voting, would that alleviate any of your concerns?
Not necessarily, because Arizona was not the only state where this is a problem. And even then, the underlying contention that I have with, hey, what's going on? Thank you for joining, but hang tight. But the underlying issue that I have is the lack of transparency, which is what everybody demands. There's zero transparency in this process. We don't know who's voting. We don't know if the ballots are valid to begin with. And the only state that was able to conduct a somewhat kind of meaningful audit of this process was in Arizona, where we saw ballots.
So you're not, you're not concerned with Arizona because there were tons of audits in Arizona. There was one conducted by the.
Well, no, that's why Arizona is concerning. Because
why is Arizona concerning if there was separate multiple audits of the Arizona election results, including one by cyber ninjas?
Because they found irregularities. That's why.
Can you say more about what irregularities did they find in Arizona?
Well, for example, there were a handful of these ballots, to the tune of almost 20,000 that didn't have legitimate signatures. They did not have legitimate signatures on the ballots. They either had a stamp of approval or just a line through it. And in some cases, there was text printed on it, which is none of those are legitimate signatures. A bank would not accept that on a check. Casinos don't accept those when, you're cashing out a jackpot voucher. And election departments, for the most part, at least out here in Nevada, they will be, because I vote in person and I signed my ballot. My signature isn't always exactly the same. And they were giving me a hard time about voting in person. Luckily I had my ID. I produced my ID and I was able to show them I am who I am. I know my signature doesn't match. And one of the polling site leaders had to okay me to go and proceed to vote, which is new to me. But yeah, the problem with a lot of these ballots is that the signatures were not valid, and they have to be reviewed, and they have to be open to the public so the public can scrutinize these documents. I believe.
Are you
it is
aware
our
who
right to
the
do that.
Are you aware who the county recorder of Maricopa County is in
Yeah,
Arizona?
Mr. Richter.
And he's voting
Yeah.
for Biden.
Do you have any reason to disbelieve his answers to your concerns that
Yeah,
actually
absolutely.
signatures were checked? I mean, what do you have as a reason to doubt his conclusions?
Well, the public does not have access to them. And again,
Access to what?
To the ballots, to the information. Like auditing is a very simple process. You know, it's kind of like accounting because I do that on the side. When you have a bank statement and you have a ledger, the totals for both of these documents should match. And if they don't, you're basically trying to determine why they're different. That's called reconciliation. Auditing a ballot, auditing a vote for a contest is really no different. So if you have, let's say, 1,000 registered voters, but you have 2,000 ballots, why is there that discrepancy?
Is it your statement that the number of ballots exceeds the number of registered voters in Arizona? Yes or no?
In some places, I would imagine that might be
Prove
the
it.
case.
Show me where in Arizona the number of ballots exceeds the number of registered voters now.
I'm
don't-
gonna just barge in here, Gio. I gotta
No,
barge in
fuck
for
you.
this.
Who are you? I didn't agree to that.
I'm an Arizona voter, by the way.
Yeah, you should get the fuck out. I'm talking to this guy.
Whoa, everybody calm down. Spencer, can you hold on a minute? Because we're having a discussion, man.
All right.
Yeah, no, I
just doesn't
appreciate
know.
I appreciate it, buddy. But no, I said it. I said probably. I don't. Again, I didn't
Are
have
you
time to
sure or
prepare.
are you not sure that voters exceeded the number of registrants in Arizona?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Are you
one bit.
sure or are you not sure?
I would lean more towards sure. I'm a gambling man. I would bet.
So, wait.
Fat cash
I'm either
any day of
sure
the
of
week.
something or I'm not sure of it. Are you sure?
Yeah, I would say I lean more towards yeah.
You are sure. Okay, then it should be no problem for you to produce the evidence of the number of registered voters being exceeded by the number of ballots cast.
Yeah, but
That shouldn't be
does-
an issue for you if
That
you're
does
sure.
happen. And again, we have an issue of transparency here because Mr. Richter is not really into the whole transparency thing.
What evidence would it take to disprove the allegation that the number of voters exceeded the number of registrants?
I would need to look at the voter rolls and I would need to see the ballots that.
So if I
are on
produce
hand.
you something from Maricopa County that says that what you're saying is wrong, would you take that as evidence that that is wrong?
Depends what you're going to produce. Depends what you get.
If I were to show you the number of voter rolls and the number, the size of the,
you
number
do
of
realize
registered-
those voter rolls are not accurate. Like you do realize that, right?
Okay, whether they're accurate or not, you made a claim. Your claim was that the number of ballots exceeded the number of registered voters. Was that or was that not your claim? Sorry, was that or was that not your claim?
I said it was probably true.
So wait, was it your claim that the number of registered voters was exceeded by the number of actual votes cast?
It's not what I said. I said
Okay,
probably.
so is it or is it not your belief that the number of voters exceeded the number of registered voters?
I said it's possible, man.
It's possible now? I thought you were very sure. Are you sure? Not sure? Possible? What is it?
I'm pretty positive. Like I said, I'm willing to bet on it. I'm willing to bet fat cash that is the case. None of these election departments they'll all fold under legitimate scrutiny. Again, I don't have that information because I don't work for Maricopa County. There's a lot of
So
shady
you don't
stuff
you don't
going
know,
on in
right? You
Maricopa
don't
County.
actually know if it exceeded the number of registered
No, it's
voters.
called intuition, man. You know,
Just,
like I
just like
mentioned
with
to you-
Jill Stein, intuition, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you don't need to. You feel that you don't need to provide evidence of the number of registered voters being exceeded by the number of voters. It's just your intuition.
Correct. Yeah. Because
Okay.
I am a concerned citizen who is upset at the way that these elections have been conducted since the year 2020.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
glaring
Since the year
issues with
2020, not since the year 2016,
No.
not since the year 2012.
Correct.
Your intuition
Well,
is
Arizona
that
has
the
had
number,
unique issues.
Oh.
Speaking, yes, they had like keeping
issues
certain
such as
candidates
the
off
number of
ballot.
actual voters, issues such as the number of voters exceeding the number of registered voters.
Okay,
That's
it wasn't a
that kind of
definitive
issue.
Dude, it wasn't a definitive claim. I don't want to get hung up on this.
What kind
Like I
of
said,
what kind of claim was it? Was it a vibes claim? Was it an intuition claim?
Sure, we'll
was
call
it a
it
claim
a
that you have?
vibes claim for simplicity's sake.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one because I don't really take seriously your vibes claims. I think there are more bullshit claims than vibes claims.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, you should. I'm just gonna jump in and just say you really need to look at the trial. I know you're a lawyer and all that, or what? Is that what you
The
claim
trial? What do you mean the trial? What's the
to be?
trial?
Kerry Lake trials, where they've brought evidence to the courts about issues with the process that Maricopa County has, and as an impacted voter in Maricopa County who had to wait 2 hours in line, do you think that's good for our elections? Do you think that's good for our democracy?
I'm the one who's in favor of expanding voting methods. I'm the one who's in favor of mail-in voting and making it longer. And so are the Democrats in favor of expanding the amount of voting that occurs, even if it incurs additional costs. And so I'm not really going to take seriously your concerns about
So why not go to a precinct model?
I'm with you.
So why not go to a precinct model? Why did Maricopa County change to a vote center model where Anthem, this is one of the locations that failed massively. All those people went to all the other voting centers and it had major, like super long lines. We know about the 20-inch ballot, which was printed 19 inches. So you're telling me that Maricopa County's elections were perfect? Because it's Maricopa County and I forget the county that Tucson is, that are like the main drivers for the state because they're the most populous, right? Fair to say?
I'm not saying that the election was run perfectly, but the burden of proof, wouldn't you agree, sir, is on the person asserting fraud, correct?
I'm pretty sure it's
would
already
you or
been
would you
proved.
not agree with would you or would you not agree with the burden of proof being on the person alleging fraud?
Not the law.
Spencer,
That's not the law, though.
Sorry. Would you or would you not agree that the burden of proof is on the person alleging fraud?
The law states in Arizona.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm
I will
answering you for Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm answering for Arizona. The way, if I understand the statute correctly, is if there is an improprietary, or whatever the word is, that makes it to where the election is in question, then it can be overturned. And it has happened here in Arizona before. You should actually go and listen to my interview with Senator Whitney Rogers
my
on that.
question? I don't give a fuck about your interview. What was your question? What was my question? Sorry.
Do
you remember my question? My question was, who is the burden of proof to demonstrate fraud? Is the burden of proof on the person alleging it or on the state running the election?
What do you define as fraud?
Spencer, stop. I don't want to dogpile. Please.
Dogpile? I'm outnumbered.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to do that. So Spencer, like I get it. You're from Arizona. Okay, he muted his mic. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Cool.
I'll answer that question. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah. The way that this server works is that I allow people who have the guest role to always come in. So you're always welcome, Piska. You're always welcome to come in and disagree with my political worldview if you'd like. Again, guys, my friends who are watching, please do not interrupt and let's not be disrespectful because this is between me and him. This is our discussion. Yeah. And I'm not okay with dogpiling. Everybody cool it.
A little backstory. Gio messaged me the other day asking if I wanted to join the show, so that's why I jumped in.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, I apologize. The show was derailed today because Destiny kind of made a mess of everything.
Yeah, it really fucked everything up.
Yeah, but to answer your question, whose burden is it? In regards to government matters, the government is always guilty. They need to be able to ease people's fears and concerns regarding any process whatsoever. So when people have issues with transparency and people have issues with the way that the process unfolded, or they question the results, they need to be able to prove that the election was on the up and up, that protocol was followed. And again, we're not really getting that. And I would just like to say really quick, if what happened in Arizona occurred in Fulton County in Georgia, the FBI would be there immediately, arresting people, taking names, and ensuring that the polls stay open for as long as they need, so the voters are not disenfranchised. We saw disenfranchisement in Arizona by a massive scale.
How did you see disenfranchisement?
There were people waiting in line for many, many hours, unable to vote because Maricopa did something to the machines or the machines failed gravely, which doesn't make a lot of sense because Mr. Richter suggested that, they tested them, that, they were calibrated properly, that everything was supposed to work, and how everything fell apart is a complete and total mystery to them. And
do you think waiting in line extra because of technical difficulties is, quote, disenfranchisement?
Yes. If this were to happen in Fulton County, the outcome of that election would be vastly different.
Are you aware there were lines? Wait. Are you aware there were lines in Fulton County?
Were people waiting for,
I don't know the number
5
of.
hours?
I mean, I don't know what your cutoff is for disenfranchisement. If it's an hour, 2
Well, what would
hours,
you
3
think?
hours.
How
I think
acceptable is it that somebody should wait in line to vote?
I think that there's definitely a question if like you're waiting 3, 4, 5 hours, if you're and you're not given an ability to cast provisional ballots. I think you may have a good point that, you know, there's an amount of inconvenience that you could impose upon a voter that would effectively disenfranchise them. That is not what we're seeing in the 2020 election at all. And furthermore, to the extent that there is problems or, you know, waits or delays or that thing, I'm totally against that. That's why I'm in favor of mail-in voting. That's why I'm in favor of expanding the amount of voting centers and drop-in mail-in boxes. That's why in Wisconsin, I thought it was ridiculous for Trump and others to challenge the Wisconsin drop-in system. So all of this is bullshit delays made by Republicans, not by Democrats.
Do you know why those mail-in drop boxes were contested?
I know exactly why they were contested.
Why were they contested?
Yeah, do you?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah. Yes.
In your own words.
Wait. Are you challenging me? You think I haven't kept up with the Wisconsin Supreme Court briefing on this issue specifically, as well as democracy in the park and others? You think you're going to
asking you to
you
explain
think you know more? Do you think you know more about how the election was run in Wisconsin than I do?
Probably. I want to ask you fairly.
Yeah.
In your own words, why do you think those specific those mailboxes, those fucking ballot drop boxes were kosher, and why were they contested? In your own words,
they were contested because in Wisconsin the law refers to sending it to the clerk, and the way that the Trump people were advocating the interpretation of that law that allows for certain voting centers. Is that it would have to be given directly to the clerk as opposed to giving it to someone who gives it to the clerk. And so the issue is a statutory interpretation issue about whether or not those mailboxes qualified under the statute for the kind of allowable drop boxes. It was initially in favor of Trump after I think the ruling came out in 2022, but recently it's been reversed. And so that's where we are.
It's very unfortunate. But there's a little bit more to it than that, though. Are you familiar with...
There are other issues. There was democracy in the park, that quote-unquote issue. These are all bullshit. They're all marginal. Doesn't affect the outcome of the election.
That is not true. That is not true.
Helpful.
Even if there's a slight disparate impact on the outcome of the election, it's unfair, and it shouldn't be, and it shouldn't stand.
So you're saying if 5 votes were cast in an improper way and the margin of victory is 20,000, you think the election should be thrown out?
If it's not fair, if people are disenfranchised, we got to do it again.
Can I get a yes or no to that question? I asked you a question.
I'm going to say no. No, because I'm pro-fairness and I'm pro-complete transparency.
And we agree.
There's a big part of the drop boxes that you completely omitted. Mark Zuckerberg was funding a good bulk or maybe all of these drop boxes, and they were strategically placed in areas of Wisconsin that would be favorable to the Democratic Party, and areas that were not were disenfranchised because they didn't have access to these. That's a fact too. Are you familiar with Mark the Zuckerbucks is what they call him? That's what the kids say.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Well, there was oh my goodness. Like I said, I should have prepared for this. There's been a move, I believe, in Wisconsin and elsewhere to they call it ban Zuckerbucks, because Mark Zuckerberg and a handful of these other billionaires, they were interfering in the process. They were actively, literally involved in the process. Like I said, disenfranchising a handful of voters. I'm just gonna philosophically, I disagree with expanding this process. I think voting should be done in person. All contests should be
make up your mind, dude. You're like complaining about long lines in in-person voting centers, and then you're saying it should all be done that way, thereby increasing the number of lines. You can't decide on a theory of disenfranchisement that you want to keep, and so you want to throw everything in the wall until it sticks, even though they're counterintuitive and counteracting each other.
No, not necessarily. I mean, just because it's going to be done in person, or I believe it should be done in person, doesn't mean that the process needs to be onerous or burdensome on the voter. I mean, you can still have machines and make the process streamlined and open up, more voting centers, allow more voting centers to exist in more places.
That was true of 2016. That was true of 2016 as well. Everything you're saying was true of 2016.
What do you mean?
The thing about the voting centers, the thing about there being lines, delays in certain, that happens in almost every single election, including the 2016 election.
Yeah.
But you don't question the 2016 election. And there's a reason for that, because you like the outcome.
No, not necessarily. That's not
Then
entirely
explain the
it.
difference in all the procedural issues you're talking about.
Well, I mean, first off,
vis-a-vis 2020.
the delays that you speak of prior to 2020, again, you have to be more specific. I mean, yeah, sometimes machines are not calibrated properly. Sometimes the power goes out. Sometimes poll workers don't show up, and there are delays and there are issues. But all of that can be easily remedied one way or another. Now we're at a point. Now we're at a point where, you know, voting access is expanded to the point of absurdity, where anybody can receive a ballot, anybody can sign these ballots, and nobody is verifying them. And there are very powerful forces at play here that are doing their best to prevent any sort of electoral transparency, which is what the Democrat Party initially called for, which I do agree with. But they say one thing, but they're doing another. That is a massive problem. Yeah.
Do you believe that the Jewish people are responsible for election problems in the 2020 election?
Dude, I have no idea.
Do you believe that you believe there's a good chance that Jews were responsible for the problems in the 2020 election?
Why would I think that? What is somebody's
I'm asking you. You can reject it. You can reject it or you can accept it. Do you believe that there was?
I don't know.
So
I don't know who's responsible for the process changing as dramatically as it did. There were a lot of people involved. I don't know the religion. I don't know the gender, dude. Why? Do
you think that there's a decent? Yeah, because I think that you're running in some of these conspiracies that have no basis other than your vibes, and you're kind of using certain phrases that indicate to me that there may be a inclination, or let's call it an intuition, as you stated, that Jews may be responsible. And I don't hear you denying that that is a belief of yours.
Dude, I don't know. You want me to make a definitive claim about something that I do not know. And this is the underlying problem with the elections, is that there's zero transparency. This isn't a conspiracy to suggest that, dude. Like when we have elections that are called within, you know, weeks after the contest is concluded, that's a problem. That's a major problem.
You said weeks. How long did it take for the election to be called in 2020?
Officially,
was
it took
even
a long
week?
time. It took a long time to count ballots. It took a long time to count these mail-in ballots, and people were not entirely sure. I know the regime media said one thing, but the reality was, you know, no one really fucking knew. That's a problem.
No one really fucking knew.
No.
So, isn't this lack of transparency also an issue in 2016?
Not necessarily. There was no meaningful effort to prevent people from discussing what they wanted to in 2016. There was no meaningful roadblock for anybody who wanted to contest the election of 2016. That happened after the fact through lawfare, through illegitimate spying on the president, and through
when was the illegitimate spying of the president?
Really?
And you're talking about 2016 and 17 and the FISA warrants?
Yeah. Those were bullshit.
Okay, so
there was no reason to do that.
That was all in the wake.
Spy on the president.
That was all in the wake of 2016, right?
Correct.
But that was also prior to 2016. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah. Again.
So you're aware.
Yeah,
I just want to be clear.
By the way,
when do you think the first FISA warrant was issued on Carter Page?
It was probably prior, if I remember correctly.
Prior to the 2016 election, is that right?
So now the regime is illegitimately spying on private citizens.
It's your agreement, therefore, that everything related to the illegal spying that you characterize as a new issue in the 2020 election, that was also true before 2016. Isn't that correct? Yes or no?
Wait, repeat that one more time.
If it's true that prior to the 2016 election, FISA warrants were issued against Carter Page, just like after it, isn't it the case that that is not a basis to distinguish results in the 2016 election to the 2020 election?
Well, I was just making an underlying point.
Is that a yes or a no? I don't hear you answering the question.
I'll say yeah.
Okay, it's not a proper way to distinguish 2016 and 2020. Fair?
Sure, I'll give you that.
Okay, so then let's put that aside. How are you going to distinguish 2016 and 2020 in terms of the lack of transparency? And especially considering the fact that there were more audits in 2020. The fact that there are more lawsuits in 2020.
More audits in 2020.
Of course
Besides
there was.
Arizona,
what are you
name one.
talking about?
Besides Arizona, name one.
So there were there were audits in Georgia as well.
Are you sure?
100%.
So they verified the signatures. They scrutinized the voter rolls.
So
and compared them with the ballots.
You understand that where they accept mail-in ballots in most of these swing states, at the very least, you have to check the signature. Signature verification is required.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because you have to do it doesn't mean that they did.
Okay, do you have evidence they didn't?
They don't have evidence that they did.
Is it just your intuition, or do you have evidence?
They did not prove adequately that they did.
Do you have evidence that they did not check signatures? Yes or no?
The burden of proof is not on me.
So the
government is making a claim that Joe Biden ended up winning that contest, but they are not producing the evidence that he did so. That is a problem.
It's up to the government to prove that everyone who purported to check signatures did check signatures. That's the government's burden?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think that?
That's just how it's supposed to be.
Okay, if that's the case, then why don't you doubt the 2016 election when the government didn't make its case?
Because there wasn't a concerted effort to deny people of their lawful speech regarding the results of the 2016 election. In 2020, you were not allowed to say that the election was rigged. Even though there's a history of Democratic operatives like Stacey Abrams, Karine Jean-Pierre, even the House Minority Leader, literally rejecting the results of multiple elections prior to 2020. They were never censored, but myself was.
Yeah, is the government allowed to stop Facebook or Twitter from censoring a person for spreading misinformation, what they consider to be misinformation?
It doesn't matter.
Can the government stop it?
Well, they seemingly did because they petitioned YouTube or Google and other giant media platforms to censor lawful speech.
So I asked the question, does the government have the authority to regulate speech on these platforms?
I would say yeah.
Why do you think that?
You know what? Well, let me rephrase that. Whether they have the authority or not doesn't really matter because they do it. They did it.
Well,
so why does that matter? How is that germane to what we're talking about? Because people were censored. Were people censored? Yes or no? Was lawful speech censored? Yes or no?
Under the First Amendment doctrines, no, it was not.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Okay. Well,
do you agree with that or no?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree that the First Amendment was not violated?
I believe it was violated. People's constitutional rights were violated.
You believe you have a constitutional right?
Petitioning corporations to censor people's lawful speech is bullshit. And yes, I do believe it is a violation of our rights.
Okay, so do you think that you have a constitutional right to post whatever you want on Facebook?
I never said that. No.
Okay, do you or do you not? Because if you don't have a constitutional right, then how could your constitutional right be violated if they censor you?
Well, saying that the election is rigged should be permissible.
Whether you think it should be permissible or not, the question is as follows.
Let's say pornography, it should not.
Do you have a constitutional right? Wait, do you agree that pornography is constitutionally protected under current First Amendment doctrine?
It depends on what context.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be obscenity, but most pornography is not obscenity under the First Amendment doctrine that currently exists.
You sure about that?
Right? Yes, I'm sure about that.
All right, if you say so.
Do you disagree with that?
I'll take your word for it.
Called Miller. Okay, so do you agree that at least some pornography is protected by the First Amendment?
Yeah, perhaps some.
Okay, so do you or do you not agree that you have a constitutional right to post whatever you want on Facebook?
Well, when we put it that way, perhaps not. However,
so then how was Facebook violating your constitutional rights by taking stuff it doesn't want on there?
Well,
taking down that stuff.
I mean, look, this is an interesting philosophical conundrum that we're in.
Philosophical? It's a contradiction in what you're saying. It's a legal contradiction. You're saying that the First Amendment was violated.
There was an unequal application of all these rules.
An unequal or unequal?
Unequal. Okay. That is certainly true. Democrats were allowed to reject the results of any election that they wanted, and they faced zero repercussions. But people who also engaged in this in similar lawful speech at the behest of the government, they were censored.
What's your citation for that?
Say that again?
How do you know? So the government, you think, because they, in your words, pressured social media companies to take down certain content.
The Twitter files, dude. The Twitter files.
That makes you, I mean, that bullshit shit.
Inconvenient, isn't it?
Well, it's not inconvenient at all. It disproves your case, in fact.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, the government intervened in people's lawful speech. Do you disagree with that?
How did the government? I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, by censoring their speech.
The government didn't make that decision.
Okay, well, I'm a free speech absolutist. So again, we're just gonna have to fundamentally disagree on this point.
Okay, so you're a free speech absolutist. Do you think you have a right to post whatever you want on Twitter or not?
No.
No. Okay. So then a decision by Twitter to take down your content, absent coercion from the government, how could that implicate some First Amendment interest? Whatever you want on those platforms.
Well, because there are laws. For example, I'm not allowed to make credible threats of violence. I am against such things.
Yeah, but we're talking about lawful speech. Why are you assuming that the speech is by itself lawful? I don't doubt that questioning the results of the election is lawful speech and under the First Amendment, 100%. But if it's the case that it's your belief that these are town squares, another word for that is a traditional public forum. A traditional public forum is a place where you cannot restrict on the basis of content your speech. That is almost by definition unconstitutional. So why isn't it then your position that on Twitter, on Facebook, you have a right to post whatever you want up to the constitutional limit?
Well, there are still meaningful rules that, that are afforded to, or wait, hold on, let me back up. There are still liberties that are afforded to these platforms to censor certain speech that most of us will find reprehensible, like using racial slurs.
Beautiful. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah,
Let's
so
move on
like using racial slurs, for example. Like that's not something that I do.
Wait, aren't racial slurs protected speech under the First Amendment?
Sure, but you can also make the argument that sometimes engaging in that speech would silence somebody else's speech for one reason or another. But that's besides the point.
You think that the government, if it wanted to, could make it illegal to say a racial slur?
If it wanted to, yeah.
That sounds pretty SJW of you, bro. You think the government can tell you can't say the N-word?
Well, I'm just saying, I don't agree that that's what the government should do, but I'm just saying if they wanted to do...
You think they're legally allowed to do that? That if they want to be like,
it doesn't matter what they're legally allowed to do.
It actually does matter what they're legally allowed to do.
They engage in activity that runs antithetical to the spirit of
I don't even know who you're talking about they is. I mean, you're saying that you think...
Dude, the government.
The regime. Okay, who was in charge of the government in 2020?
President Trump, presumably, but that didn't really seem to be the case. There were elements of his government.
Didn't seem to be the case?
No, not necessarily. He made decisions that were actively ignored by, members of his military and of his administration.
Okay. So recentering us, I guess.
Yeah, let's recenter
on the fundamental claim. So you point to the Twitter files and this relationship between government, agents and censorship regimes on these social media platforms, and that's the basis in your mind to doubt the 2020 election results without any additional proof of malfeasance in the actual conduction of the election.
Well, that's certainly one point of contention. If you don't allow the citizenry to speak openly on the primary modes of communication, that's a huge fucking problem to me. It's a really big problem.
So how did you get access to a lot of these claims about election fraud, if not through social media?
Well, some claims were able to go through. However, there was still a concerted effort to censor the majority of the speech. I mean,
do you believe that this was the election with the most oversight and the most eyes looking at what was being done, the number of voters, the amount of ballots? Don't you think that this election had the most independent eyes on them? We're talking about Republican governors. We're talking about Trump attorneys themselves. We're talking about Trump poll watchers. Isn't it the case that this election had the most independent oversight of any election in recent history?
No. In Detroit...
Which election can you point to that had more oversight than this election?
I don't know any of them, but to suggest that this was like the most, the most on the level election is just categorically false, man.
That's not what I asked. I asked, is this the election with the most scrutiny on both the conduct of the election and the people administering it?
Scrutiny, yeah. People administering it, maybe, but I mean.
So why was it the case that Trump has been unable, and you, by the way, to produce actual evidence of fraud? You can poke at the margins if you want and say, hey, you had to wait in line a little long, and I didn't like that Zuckerberg censored my speech. But let's get to the hard brass tacks. Why has Trump, his attorneys, and you been unable to produce hard evidence of voter fraud or irregularities?
There are plenty of people who have been able to produce irregularities and fraudulent behavior.
Enough to swing the election?
Yeah, certainly. And even if
What
it
is that
wasn't-
proof?
Even if it wasn't enough to sway the election, the fact that there are so many irregularities in the swing states and there's zero transparency. Again, this is the heart of the issue, is that there's zero transparency in this process. And there were zero meaningful audits conducted, except for Arizona, which did find many, many problems. I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean, there's videos of people harvesting ballots, and one individual is signing multiple ballots and then dropping it off in a Dropbox. And there's, again, no criminal investigation. There's no meaningful audit of that.
Where do you
Dropbox.
allege that this took place? The one person on video signing multiple ballots. Where do you allege
Georgia,
this took place?
Wisconsin, PA? Doesn't matter, man.
It doesn't matter where this took place?
The fact of the matter is that there is zero transparency. You're the one that made the claim that there were audits everywhere. That is not true.
I didn't say everywhere in the swing states that were most contested.
Besides Arizona, where? Besides Arizona, where?
So in Georgia there were audits.
No, there weren't.
You disagree? Do you deny that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a fact we can determine, can't we?
Sure.
So if I come with evidence that there were audits in Georgia, what would you say in response to that?
Well, let me see the evidence.
Okay. Georgia election 2020.
Also, thank you everybody for joining in. I sincerely appreciate it. UPS, that were FedEx, that were vacant lots, because there were.
The burden of proof is on you to A,
fair
show
enough.
those ballots,
Yeah,
and B,
I
show
didn't
that there's
have time
anything
to
wrong
prepare.
about them.
I didn't have time to prepare. So for those listening,
so you're just saying things that you have no awareness of.
I am aware of it. And for those listening, you can do your own independent research yourself, and you will find that to be the case. There were quite a few ballots that had information that would disqualify it from being counted. And again, if that wasn't the case, why were there not meaningful, transparent audits conducted in all of these states, save for Arizona?
So would you agree in Arizona the election was conducted fairly?
No.
Why not? But there was a audit that met your specifications.
Yeah, they did, and there was no remedy after the fact.
Remedy for what? You said that the audit was conducted correctly.
Yeah, the
audit found that Biden won the election.
Was conducted by an independent group. And they found
is it
a bunch
the case
of
wait,
irregularities, and the government did nothing about it. That is a problem.
Is it the case that the audit in Arizona found that Biden won the election?
No.
You don't believe that the Cyber Ninjas audit found that Biden won the most amount of votes?
No, not really.
Are you sure or are you not sure that the audit from Cyber Ninjas confirmed Biden's victory?
I don't think that's what it confirmed.
Are you sure or are you not sure about what the audit results were? If you're sure about it, say you're sure. If you're not sure, it's fine. You can say you're not sure. There's nothing wrong with that. Other than you spouting misinformation.
I'm sure.
Okay, that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking whether you think it's bullshit. I'm asking, are you aware or are you not aware of the results of the audit?
I am aware of the results of the audit.
What are the results of the Cyber Ninjas audit?
Yeah, that there were a lot of irregularities with the ballots,
sorry.
the way that they were signed.
Who was the victor under the Cyber Ninjas audit?
If you were to take what was provided by the state, because it was highly limited in scope.
I asked you a question.
I
asked you a question. What did I ask you? Are you aware of what I just asked you?
Yeah.
What did I ask you?
I was answering it and you interrupted me.
No, you weren't answering it. I asked you who was the victor under the Cyber Ninjas audit.
Well, unfortunately, it would be Biden. But, again, that doesn't dispute the claim that there were massive irregularities and that the government should have acted to conduct a meaningful audit themselves and offer up remedy.
You said it was a meaningful audit. You can't say, therefore, they should have audited again.
Yeah,
you said it was
but the Cyber
sufficient.
Ninjas do not yield any power whatsoever in the state of Arizona. They were granted access to a
the
small
Cyber Ninjas
batch
found,
of
as you
ballots.
just said, that Biden won the election.
With what they were provided, sure, but there were still
You
tens of
yourself
thousands of
said it was
ballots
a
that
meaningful audit.
Why
you
are
said
you
it was
disputing
sufficient.
this? Why are you disputing this?
I'm sorry, you're the one disputing the Arizona results, aren't you?
Yeah, but you're completely rejecting the claim that there were a handful of ballots that had severe irregularities. When you have so many ballots with incorrect, invalid signatures, and the state does nothing. I mean, we're talking about thousands of ballots here with invalid signatures. That is a problem. The state should act to remedy that situation immediately. Again, that isn't
Ariz-
in the spirit of open inquiry and transparency.
So the cyber ninjas found that the victor of the election was Joe Biden. You're saying now that they found that a bunch of signatures on
That is
ballots
true.
were invalid. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Citation needed.
I didn't have time to prepare. You wanted to jump into this, and again, I'm just making the case that there was zero transparency throughout this process.
They didn't find that those thousands were invalid ballots. That's just not true.
Well, what source
I
did
don't
you
know
look
who
at?
told
Actually
you.
true.
Because
The
you have
Gateway
it's
Pundit
not. No,
article.
it's
I just
not. No,
linked
it's
it,
not.
man.
Quote it.
In
Quote it.
politics.
Quote it.
It's
quote
in
it.
politics in the Discord.
Quote it. Quote it. I thought these dipshits weren't going to come in, but I guess when you're on the
Spec-
ropes, they're allowed to come in.
I'm just listening in, but I'm gonna drop off. I'm just gonna say, as an Arizona resident, do your fucking research.
Yeah, you don't know shit either. I mean, if you want, we can
I've-
arrange a if you want, we
I would
can
love
arrange a
to, man.
conversation. You being in that state isn't a source of information for you. You're not like smarter because you live in the state if you're repeating these bullshit conspiracy theories.
Hey, let me just ask you one
what's the
question, then I'll
conspiracy,
drop off.
dude? What is the wait?
Is-
What's the conspiracy here?
The conspiracy is that Zuckerberg and others orchestrated the defeat of Donald Trump.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You have no proof of that, right?
So let me just ask the question really quick because you've been asking a lot of questions, Pisco.
Yeah. Give me.
Is it okay that cyber ninjas, which they were subpoenaed, they had all the records given in front of the court, that's okay, but when you try to get information from Runbeck, who runs our elections out here in Maricopa County, but the judge rules, oh no, they're not subject to oversight. Do you think that's rules for me and not for thee? Especially when Runbeck is the one that's printing the ballots. That it's a chain of custody where all that's going through is Runbeck. It goes to Runbeck from USPS, and then it goes to the county at MC Tech. Do you think there's an issue if there is no accountability, there is no oversight of Runbeck?
Not unless that you can show that the issues in Runbeck were substantiated.
But they're a government. They're working for the government. You're telling me that someone working for the government should not have any oversight?
I don't think that
Is it yes or no?
necessary for.
It's a yes or no, as you say. It's a yes or no.
Hey, hang on a second. So, an organization that works for the government, of course, is subject to oversight by the government.
Okay, so why didn't that happen?
It's your allegation that there was no sufficient.
It's not
oversight.
an allegation. It's literally in the court documents.
Okay,
The
subpoena was issued by whom to whom?
And this has been a minute, so I'm trying to
Subpoena was
remember.
issued by whom to whom?
Subpoena for the records?
Yeah, what records are you saying were improperly withheld?
They were trying to get information on Runbeck. That I'll
Who
have
is
to
they?
the parties suing. So I want to say it was Kerry Lake or the
Okay,
Arizona
now we have
Republican
an issue, don't we? Now we have an issue, don't we? If it's Kerry Lake, do you think that every individual in the United States should have the ability to get a government to produce anything they want all the time?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's your standard.
That's
your new
Theo's
FOIA
response.
standard. Anyone who claims an injury can get anything they want all the time.
Yes.
Well, technically,
Okay.
the people of Arizona were injured if the election was proven fraudulent or there was election maladministration, which was alleged by Kerry's team on Maricopa County. I forget exactly where all
So
that
what
went.
information specifically was Cyber Ninjas denied? Is that your allegation that they were denied information?
We're talking two different things here. I think.
Okay. Were
So
Cyber
there's-
Ninjas denied information?
Yes.
No, Cyber Ninjas was subpoenaed for information for
By
I
whom?
want to say phone records. There was a
By
lawsuit.
whom?
I can't remember the exact lawsuit, but
So
there was a lawsuit.
you're asking me. So just to be clear, you're asking me to compare the standards for subpoenas, and you cannot even identify the
I
people
will look
requesting subpoenas for either Cyber
wait.
Ninjas or Kerry Lake lawsuit.
I will look it up here. So
Spencer.
American Oversight has finalized a settlement agreement with the Arizona Senate and Cyber Ninjas in a
sounds like a
public records
settlement. I don't
in
understand.
a public records lawsuit that spanned nearly 2 years and extracted thousands of pages of public records related to the Senate's audit of the 2020 election results. So all I'm trying to make the point here, man, is it's everyone plays by the same book, or
No, that sounds like a
we
settlement.
have issues.
That sounds like a settlement, doesn't it? Doesn't it
So-
sound like a settlement?
Well, so here, I guess.
Does it or does it not sound like a settlement? What you just described.
There was a lawsuit, yes, but when
Okay,
I'm
wait.
what
What
I'm
did I? Sorry.
telling you-
What did I just ask you?
There was a settlement between the two
Okay.
parties that were sued.
What is a
Yes.
settlement? What is a settlement?
You can look it up. It's on AmericanOversight.org.
No. Sorry. What is a settlement? Generally, what is a settlement?
Financial or other means, I'm assuming.
Financial or other means? What are you
I
fucking
don't know.
talking about? Are you an
With a
idiot?
lawsuit, right?
A settlement is a
Whoa,
contract.
what
a
happened to
contract,
being a gentleman? No ad
because
homs,
you guys,
man.
hang on a second. You guys are morons, and you're just like repeating articles without having the slightest comprehension of what's in them or what
So
the
why
processes
not
are
you-
entailed by
Wait,
them.
wait,
Hang on,
Spencer, stop.
I'm gonna explain to you. I'm gonna explain to you. So a settlement is a contract, right? You understand a contract? A
Yes.
contract is an agreement, a meeting of the minds between two parties where they agree on the underlying terms of what to produce, what not to produce. It's a freely entered into agreement. And you're trying to say that that agreement should be compared to a compulsory process that is like a subpoena.
Well, was it? Like I said, it's been a minute since the
Yeah, so you
lawsuit.
don't have-
I'm
yeah, you don't know
misremembering.
shit.
Wait, Spencer, stop.
If you don't know shit, you don't know shit. That's cool. But then don't come at me with your, half-baked ideas before you're ready to come to play.
Well,
Dude,
well,
all
Spencer,
I'm trying to tell
Spencer,
you.
Please, can you mute really
Yep.
quick? Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, let's rope this back in. I asked, what other meaningful audit was conducted outside of Arizona? You have not been able to answer
I'm not going to
that.
concede. I'm not going to concede
well,
Arizona. Sorry. I'm not going to move past Arizona. If in Arizona there was, by all accounts, by your account, an audit that matched your requirement for being sufficiently
Yes,
thorough,
but
then,
nothing
hang on,
came
then-
about it though.
then
When
if-
there
and
was
if-
fraud discovered, that is a massive
the
problem.
result. Hang on. Nothing
And you're
came
getting
about
upset
it.
and you're engaging in ad
Nothing-
homs, calling people
nothing
names.
came about it.
You
Nothing came
promised you'd
about
be
it
a gentleman.
Nothing came about it because the Arizona audit found that Biden won. Why would anything?
Allegedly.
No,
Okay,
dude.
if that's what
once
the
you
audit
separate-
found,
Once you separate the ballots
No.
from the envelopes, then it is in.
I don't even know what that means. Once you separate the ballots
Yes.
from the
Okay.
envelope.
So I can actually explain the signature verification process because I have actually some friends that reported on this. So here we go. And again, you can look at in the watchfrogs Discord. You can look in politics. There's a link to a Gateway Pundit article where my buddy
thanks.
Jordan Conradson
You explain it.
found that as they did their news gathering on this to do their story, which is completely legal under state law for them to produce this stuff, they
Get to
showed
the fucking point. Stop yapping.
they
care if it's legal.
showed they showed the mismatch on signatures on the ballot envelope. So when you remove the ballot from the ballot envelope, if that signature was unlawfully approved by the signature guys that were just going like this, like they were playing slots, just pressing the button, do you think that is a problem?
Do you believe ballots and signatures should be separated?
They are separated from the envelopes.
Do you believe they should be?
Yes, they are separated once the signature is verified.
Okay. So once the signature is verified and they're separated.
And I say verified, I say in air quotes, because we clearly showed through this reporting that there were votes that went through that shouldn't have been. So they were unlawfully counted votes because of mismatching signatures.
So just to be 100% clear, you have produced a pundit article that claims that these signatures are mismatching or somehow
and they were unlawfully approved.
The Gateway Pundit is completely valid according to NewsGuard, man. Don't disregard them because it's inconvenient to what you believe.
You're people with a stake in the race. Yeah, no bullshit.
Oh, what's my stake?
I'm not gonna. So
what's
just
my
to
stake?
be 1,000% clear.
Please, you're telling me about and you about making claims. What's my stake?
Just to be your stake is you wanted Trump to win, right?
I mean, it sounds like you wanted Biden to win.
I wanted the right result to be counted.
Oh, same here.
Well, no, that doesn't.
Why can't we all agree on election integrity? Why don't we want election integrity?
I do agree on election integrity.
Okay,
You guys.
So
believe,
why not have the same rules for everyone?
So to be clear, the rules are the same for everyone in the state. Fair.
Not between Rumbeck and Cyber Ninjas.
What
no,
rule
they're treated
is-
differently
what-
by the judge in that case.
Didn't you just get owned on that point and you
No, I did
admitted
not.
that you have no idea about
what I'm
the relevant processes in those cases? Didn't you just admit that?
There was a lawsuit. I'm not going to get in. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
you
get
don't
into
know shit,
specifics.
right? So how can you
You
make
know
a
what?
claim that they were
I took a
unequal?
semester of law, and all I need to know is constitutional rights and how to get out of speeding tickets. All right, that's all I learned about that.
What's the constitutional issue at stake and the difference in how the cyber ninjas and Runback were treated vis-a-vis
I'm saying
subpoenas?
it. I'm saying it as just a general statement here, man.
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
it's a
going to dive
general
in.
statement because
I'm not going to dive
a
into the
general
weeds with
statement
you
because you're
because
a
you actually.
dumbass. It's a general statement because you're
Oh,
a
I'm a dumbass.
dumbass.
Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
dumbass. Okay. So the
Yeah.
guy that actually witnessed people getting out of line in Arizona because the
Getting
line
out
was
of
too long
line.
and voters were disenfranchised. You
Try
think
No,
more.
Spencer, stop.
Try
Spencer,
more.
stop. That's enough.
Okay,
Right? So
that's
now
fine.
you're being dismissive of legitimate claims of voter disenfranchisement. And again, this is the heart of the issue here because you're dismissing the grievances that these people have, and you're completely content with the way that the election transpired. I'm not. Again,
Do you work for
zero
Susan Spalding by any
transparency.
chance?
I thought we were gonna shut down the idiot. I mean, he's still
Spencer, can you stop,
piping up.
please? Spencer, can you
Yeah,
stop, please? Can you
I'll
mute?
jump out. You
Yeah,
two have
I
fun.
will. Unmutes the next second later.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. You've been owned. You can move on.
You know
Calm
what, Pisco?
down.
I wish you the best, man.
Yeah.
And you seem like a
Pisco,
chill
why
sister
are
to me.
you so hostile, man? The viewers want to know.
He's
Why
a
are you so
dumbass.
angry?
He's a dumbass, and he's interrupting us when we're having a conversation.
Okay, all
And I
right.
thought he wasn't gonna pipe up. You asked him to. He's being disrespectful to you.
Fair enough. He
Okay.
means no harm. Does it hurt to be this
Okay.
fucking stupid? The fucking both of you. No, I'm not fucking stupid, and neither is Spencer. Again, there are, like I said, there's grave issues with the way that these elections are conducted, and there is an issue of transparency, which you have not adequately, addressed, and you've been dismissive of people's grievances regarding the process.
Yeah,
And
how
being
have I not
disenfranchised.
adequately addressed the issues of
Because I asked you
transparency?
outside of
I wanna
Arizona,
finish
where
this
has
thing.
there been a meaningful audit conducted? The fact that there hasn't
you
been
understand
meaningful
why I'm
audits
staying-
conducted
do you
is a problem.
Do you understand why I'm staying in Arizona?
Because
Why
it's
do you think I'm
convenient
staying?
for you. It's
No, because
convenient for you.
it's the
And when there
case-
is information that runs contrary to your ethos, like the Gateway Pundit being a legitimate source, which it is according to NewsGuard, you get dismissive and huff and puff. I mean, you're
So,
getting
the
upset. I'm
reason
not
I'm
upset.
staying-
I'm having a
The reason
conversation.
I'm staying in Arizona is because this is the state which had the most extensive audits. And the point of staying here is if even the most extensive audits did not satisfy you, then every other response on the other states
okay, but
is
what
going to be
you're
overdetermined.
okay, but
You
you're
understand that?
omitting the part where I said yes, there were audits, not good ones, but there were audits, and
Yeah.
they found irregularities, very grave, serious problems with the election that, in my opinion, puts it in doubt,
Okay,
and
well,
it needs
so
to be remedied, and it hasn't.
how would you remedy the grave problems in Arizona?
Get the ballots, publish them, so people can scrutinize them,
Publish
and
the
have people be able to compare and contrast with the voter rolls. And there's no desire to do that on the modern left. The modern left's response to people claiming that the election is bullshit is to censor their lawful speech and to
Yeah, I'm not
cock
interested in
block.
that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and,
don't care.
and to cock
I don't
block
ca- I really
any
don't care about
meaningful
your First Amendment
move
argument.
to audit these ballots.
You're just talking to no one. No one here cares about your First Amendment claims. We're focusing on the election. So
Okay.
if you want to bring your claims about unfairness and your
Yeah, but that's a
grievances
part of it.
and
It's
how you
chilling people's
feel,
speech.
You feel like the victim. I understand you feel like
We
the victim.
are
and
victims.
Yeah, you are victims. You feel very bad that you're the victims and you've had grievances. We're not focused on your First Amendment shit. It's all bullshit anyway, but
No,
we're not
it's
getting
not.
into that.
It's a
It is
fundamental
bullshit,
right.
but I mean, it's a fundamental right to post on Twitter.
Yeah, Elon Musk seems
Yes,
to share
okay.
that opinion.
Apparently not, because he's banning people who like talk shit about him.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, of course you don't. Yeah, you don't know anything that absolutely destroys and undermines your point.
Well,
you don't know anything about that.
likewise, because you were crying about the Gateway Pundit. I mean, come on, man. Now you're being silly. You're being silly.
So you think that I'm unwilling to deal with like facts, quote unquote facts that go counter to my narrative? That's what this whole thing has been about. We're examining a specific state that you've said where there's been a sufficient audit. Is this a sufficient audit?
For Arizona? No, I don't
Sufficient or
believe
not?
so. No.
Why was this audit insufficient?
It was insufficient because of the scope. It was insufficient because there were irregularities found, which you don't even admit to.
Wait,
you can't
I'm
even
not-
admit that there were problems with
No,
ballots
I
and there were
deny-
problems with signatures. Okay, do you
deny
agree that there were
yeah,
problems
I
with
deny that.
signatures on some of the ballots?
I deny that that's been proven. I deny it. But that's not what we're talking about.
Okay,
What we're
dude,
talking
then
about is
I don't
the
know what to
nature
tell
of
you,
the-
man. I don't
Wait,
know
wait,
what to tell you.
I deny that you have proven that there were problems with the ballots. I deny that. I think that has not at all been established.
Okay,
But to
man.
be clear,
I
I'm
don't
not
know what
talking
to tell
about-
you then.
I'm not talking about I'm not talking about like the ultimate disposition. I'm saying that the nature of the audit was the audit itself a process that you trusted, that you trust.
Not entirely, but it highlighted and showed enough problems, enough issues with the way that the election unfolded to warrant concern, to warrant calls for the state of Arizona to get off its ass and to appease the voters and to address their legitimate grievances, which you've been huffing and puffing about and scoffing at and dismissing.
Don't trust the results of the Cyber Ninjas audit.
That's not what I said, man. That's not what
Do
I
you or
said
do you
at
not
all.
trust it? Do you or do you not trust it?
That's not what I said.
Do you trust it or do you not trust
I
it?
trust what the Cyber Ninjas produced.
Okay. And so is it your claim that the Cyber Ninjas produced evidence of fraud?
Yes, they did. Adequate evidence. And I told you, which you disagree with. So, I mean, we're just butting heads here. Yes, there were issues. There's fucking images of it, man. Dr. Shiva ended up producing it.
What is the issue? Explain the issue.
Dude, okay, this is like the 5th time I had to explain this.
Explain
Okay,
it.
so there were ballots where an individual voter was supposed to sign, and there was no signature there. There were stamps that said approved, or there was one line through it. That is not a legitimate signature,
How
or a
many
name was
ballots
printed.
Are you alleging where there were, or
I do
don't know,
not have the
where there
literature in
weren't
front of me. I don't have the materials in front of me. Again, I was not able to prepare for this, but it did happen. There were irregularities and there were issues with the ballots. And again, the state doesn't care
Are
when
you
there is
able
an
to
issue.
describe? So the issues you've identified so far, as I can recount them, are some ballots did not have any signatures, or some envelopes did not have signatures.
Plenty
Fair?
of them, yes.
You don't have any idea of how many that is.
Not at the top of my head, no.
Is it enough to change the outcome of the election? In your
It's possible, yes. It's as a matter of fact, it's very
Are you
likely. If you
sure
were to
or not?
expand the scope of a genuine audit, I don't believe that Joe Biden would have won that contest. Full stop.
I don't care about your beliefs right now. I care about the evidence that you're able to produce. And you're
Okay.
unable at this moment to give any kind of approximation of the number of envelopes or signatures that were absent. Fair?
Sure.
You don't
fair.
know how many those are.
No, not like I said, not at the top of my head. No. All right.
Okay,
man.
so then why do you think that is evidence of sufficient evidence to question the results if you don't have any idea of the magnitude?
Well, because nobody does. Irregularities
wait.
are found, issues are found with the votes, and the government is saying enough. We're not going to examine this any further. We're going to cock block the process, and we're going to deny people of their legitimate grievances. That's again, dude. This is me and you just ideologically, fundamentally disagree on this matter. So we need to let's. We're not going to agree, dude. Again, you're honed in on one state. You're honed in on one state, and you don't want to address the fact that there were no other meaningful audits conducted anywhere else in the swing states. At the very least.
The reason why I'm focused on Arizona is because even here, you have a clear case where there's been extensive audits done, where the state legislature has contracted a organization that's incredibly pro-Trump, and in their final result, they absolutely confirmed the Biden victory. And what you're able to point to is a kind of vague notion that some signatures were invalid, but without any specifics.
Again, dude, I wasn't allowed to prepare for this. And you're asking for very, very specific details that I didn't have time to get. I mean, dude, we're talking about multiple swing states. And again, I don't have the literature in front of me.
You're an expert.
I said formerly, dude. I don't do elections anymore.
Are you currently an expert in how elections are conducted?
I don't think anybody is an expert in the way the elections are conducted as of 2020 because the entire process has been overhauled and changed dramatically to introduce mail-in ballots.
If no one is an election expert, you would concede you're not an election expert. Fair?
I never said that I was. Now you're attributing words to me that I didn't make.
Is it your position that you never said that you were an election expert?
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Okay. You understand that there's a tweet to that effect, right?
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah.
Read it verbatim, if you will.
100%.
Let's see. Kiyoshiku? No, I'm not. No. First off, he's not even addressing the core complaints that I'm making.
What's the core complaint you're making?
that there's zero transparency and that there were no meaningful audits conducted
Isn't
anywhere.
an audit transparency? Do you believe in Arizona there was transparency? Fair.
Yes and no. It's more complex than
How
a
was
simple
there-
yes or no answer.
How was there no was there sufficient transparency in Arizona?
I already explained the scope of these audits were incredibly limited. And even when there were irregularities discovered, the state did absolutely nothing to remedy the problem.
I'm sorry. I'm only focused on transparency. Fair. I'm only asking about transparency.
Okay.
Was there sufficient transparency?
No.
In Arizona.
No.
Okay. So then, where was there any place that had sufficient transparency in the 2020 election?
Regarding the swing states that we mentioned earlier, no, I do not
Okay.
believe so.
This is a quote of your tweet. Quote, "I'm a former expert
Yeah,
on
that's not a
election
current
matters."
expert, which is what you were suggesting or alluding to.
Okay,
It's a
so
former.
when
And
you
I
say
made
former,
plenty
when
of comments
were-
that I do not do this anymore.
When did you stop being an expert on election matters?
I would say probably around 2015.
So how old are you?
33.
33. So 2015 would have been, what, 8 or 9 years ago?
Dude, I don't fucking know, bro. Had a long day.
So you stopped being an election expert in 2015 before the 2016 election?
Yeah.
You lost your expertise?
I changed career paths. And again, the entire process has been overhauled. Can we agree that the way voting is conducted in America dramatically changed in 2020? Yes or no?
In some ways, yeah.
In some ways, yeah. Okay. All right. So we're in
I mean,
uncharted
it's not too-
territory.
So some states such as Pennsylvania, and this is to go back to your initial point where you're like, the governors did fucking things unilaterally, whatever. You had an expansion of mail-in ballots, but just to be clear, in Pennsylvania specifically, that was a bipartisan piece of legislature passed prior to COVID in 2019, overwhelmingly approved by the legislature, signed by the Democratic governor. And so a lot of these cases aren't what you say.
What do you mean? What do you mean? They're not what
So,
I
for
said.
example, you allege that there was problems in terms of the separation of powers with respect to who was making changes to how the election was conducted. But I gave you an example in Pennsylvania where the broad expansion of mail-in ballots was a bipartisan piece of legislation called Act 77.
Say
Are you aware
one
of
more
that?
time. Say that one more time.
Okay. Are you trolling me?
No.
Did you or did you not say at the start that it had to be the legislatures to approve massive changes to how the election was conducted?
Yeah.
What I'm providing you is one example in Pennsylvania where the massive change, that is expanding mail-in ballots to everybody in Pennsylvania, was a bipartisan piece of legislature called Act 77 that was put into law on a bipartisan fashion in 2019.
Yes or
prior
no?
to
Did that
COVID.
run contrary to the state's constitution?
According to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, no.
Oh, okay.
To something you don't agree with.
Yeah.
That's conclusory. It's the conclusion. I want to know the reasoning.
Well, as I mentioned many times earlier, there was no transparency in this process, and nobody is able to independently verify.
Okay,
the
you
results
understand
of
we
the
moved
election.
on to the constitutional issue in Pennsylvania, and so it's not about transparency. It's about a law and its facial compliance with the.
Well, because you
state
were saying that they passed this law, the legislature passed this law, and I made the claim accurately that it ran contrary to the Constitution, and then of course the
I asked
Pennsylvania
how.
Supreme Court. How? Because it wasn't supposed to be mass mail-in ballots, dude. Those mass mail-in ballots are not secure. They're not safe. There's no oversight. There's no way to verify the validity of these ballots. And in many such cases, there wasn't even, anybody verifying the signatures of these documents
In Pennsylvania?
in all of the swing states. Yes.
Okay. You understand you're full of shit, right?
No, I'm not.
You understand that you're one of the dumbest people I've ever spoken with on this entire
I
platform.
sincerely doubt it.
Well,
If you
I'm
want to
asserting it, and
believe
it's the case.
if you want to believe the regime-approved narrative regarding mail-in ballots, and you want complete and total access to it, again, this is a fundamental disagreement about our beliefs and our ethos regarding how voting is conducted.
You
or
can
how
keep using
democracy
words
is
like
conducted.
ethos and fundamental and like all
but
these
again,
fucking filler
yeah,
words that
but-
make you think that you're smart. You're,
Yeah, dude, you're
one
getting,
of the dumber
you're-
persons I've ever
dude,
spoken
I mean, again, you're upset and you're getting animated and huffing and puffing and engaging in ad hom attacks because your ideology really runs contrary to core principles regarding transparency and even
Core
democracy.
principles, man,
should
and
I
it's
say?
not transparent and it violates it because it does, and no one audited it and no one looked at it. You sound like a fucking idiot. You
Okay.
haven't done your homework. You haven't done your research. You
Okay.
don't know the first thing about how the election was conducted. You have no ability to distinguish it from the 2016 election other than your vibes. You started this conversation by
Not
saying,
accurate.
I assert that the Jill Stein litigation was pressed by Hillary Clinton and said, I know I
Yeah,
don't
it
have proof
probably
on it,
was.
but I believe it
Yes.
anyway.
I'm almost
and
certain
then,
that it was.
And you're on it.
Yeah.
And you said the Jews may have controlled all this, but you're
I never
not sure.
said that. No. You brought up the J word.
No,
I
you
didn't.
said that you're not
wanted
sure.
to.
Wait,
Dude, because you're asking me to answer a question that I I don't know anything about. I don't
You
know
have a
why you would.
reason-
First, of all, I don't know why you would say that. Like, from my understanding, you're a leftist, so you're probably, you probably have a worldview that's antithetical to Israel, given everything that's happening in the Middle East
Oh.
right now, and that's probably why you're invoking
love
it.
Israel.
I don't know if you're anti-Semitic. I don't know why you're bringing them up.
No,
I didn't
because-
bring them up. You did. I'm not trying to get banned
I
here.
think you're. I
or
think
get
you're
accused
kinda
of anti-Semitism.
sketchy. I think you're kind of sketchy here about who you think is responsible. You think someone is responsible for stealing the election for Donald Trump. That's correct, isn't it?
Someone or something, sure.
So who do you believe is responsible for stealing the election from Donald Trump?
Well, given the fact that the states are, these elections are independently conducted, there's probably
they?
a whole slew of different people that are involved.
So the Republicans in Georgia stole
Yes.
the election from. Okay.
Yes, Governor Kemp is likely involved. Brad Raffensperger, these individuals are adamantly anti-Trump. They're anti-transparency. They've been cock-blocking people trying to get access to the ballots and meaningfully audit them. That is not in dispute, dude. That is 100% fact. Stacey Abrams, far leftist, somebody you would probably agree with, even she rejects outcomes of the election prior to 2020.
Do you agree with her?
I don't know.
Do you think that the election was
Maybe
stolen
she
from
has a
Stacey-
point.
Do you believe in 2018 the election was stolen from Stacey Abrams?
I
Yes or
have
no?
no idea. Given the fact that there's transparency problems ongoing right now, maybe she has a point. I personally not a big fan of her, but if
Yeah,
she
you're going
was,
off
if
If
her
you like
rights
the
were
person, you
violated,
believe them.
if her
If you don't, you
voters were
don't.
disenfranchised, I believe that they have a right to have a meaningful audit conducted. If you want to conduct one right now and find some meaningful remedy for Stacey Abrams, I am all for it. But Stacey Abrams, Karine Jean-Pierre, Hillary Clinton, and a whole slew of other individuals, they are allowed to reject the outcome of any election that they want. But people like myself, when we say, hey, something is wrong, we get censored because the government is pressuring these tech companies to do it. And
You're
you
a
want to,
crybaby.
do...
No one's censoring you right now. You're spewing
I
your
didn't
filth
say
on
they're
Twitter.
censoring me right
You're
now, but it did
you're
happen.
Spewing your filth on Twitter. There was plenty of filth that was spewed by people like you believing bullshit from the Gateway Pundit and other bullshit sources.
They're not
That's
bullshit. That's a lie.
That's what you did.
Now you're
and
crying.
It was all over social media, and you're crying and whining about election you lost. And even in the places where the audits and the transparency was the most open to the public, you're crying on election issues you cannot even specify and elaborate on. It is pathetic. You have failed as an American citizen to make any articulable case for fraud. And you're spreading bullshit to all of your fans.
Okay,
however
so
many
I
they
should
are.
just throw my hands up and agree with the regime-approved narrative about how
No one's
these
saying
elections
that,
transpired.
but the burden of
and by
proof
the
is
way,
on
the,
you.
the government should not be given the benefit of the doubt. Given everything that's transpired in the last, let's say, 30 years, I believe it is the most American thing to do, which is dispute claims made by the government until they produce evidence otherwise, and to demand transparency where none exists. Again,
So,
we just fundamentally
yeah.
agree on this.
We fundamentally agree or disagree?
Disagree. I
Yeah,
disagree.
So I
That's what
agree
meant.
that there should be transparency.
No,
but
it
I
doesn't
also
seem
believe-
like it because you're
But I also
upset.
believe that those who are alleging voter fraud have a burden of proof.
No, the
to
government
prove it.
does. The government
No,
does.
So I'll bring you back to the start of our conversation, sir. Do you recall when we were talking about the 2016 election? And we were talking, and you said, wait, well, why don't you question the 2016 election? I offered you a standard. And that standard was, isn't the burden of proof on the person alleging fraud in the case of the 2016 election to prove it? And you said, yes, of course. And in fact, the reason you gave, one that I agreed with for why you trust the 2016 election was because there was not a sufficient meeting of the burden by those alleging fraud in 2016.
Correct.
However, in 2020, the burden has shifted. And you've now said that there's an affirmative obligation of the government to disprove voter fraud as opposed to the other way around.
Yes,
How is that
correct.
not the definition of a double standard?
Well, because when individual private citizens bring forth claims and they state that they have grievances, the government should address those grievances. You appear to be antithetical to that notion.
Wait. They have. You don't accept it. When I
No,
try
they
to bring
don't.
up
No, they did not.
Sorry. When I try to bring up Raffensperger's response, you say you can't trust him. When I try to bring up Richter's response, you say I don't trust what he says.
Because there hasn't been meaningful audits conducted, dude.
Those are the context. Those are in the context of two states that had audits. And
No,
okay,
they
put aside
did. Georgia did not have a meaningful audit.
Put aside the
dude.
Georgia one. I totally disagree with your characterization of it not being sufficient.
Fair enough.
Put aside the Georgia one. Just Arizona. You're not going to buy anything Stephen Richter says in response to every single one of your claims.
Yeah, and I've already addressed that. Okay, dude, we're obviously
you don't
not
believe
gonna
him.
agree.
You don't. Wait. You just don't believe Stephen Richter. Fair?
No, absolutely not. No, he's not a trustworthy individual.
All right. So then the government has responded to those claims. The truth is you don't believe the response. Fair?
They responded to it by telling the voters, people with legitimate grievances, to fuck off in legalese, of course.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
They told them to fuck up.
yeah.
They had. Do you want to know how many hearings Richter had and how often these grievances were heard and responded to? How that there were investigations from state investigatory bodies, which I'm sure are into it, right? The Georgia investigation, the state police officers that investigated the election, they're all in on it. I'm sure you would believe the FBI's in on it too, correct?
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not making that claim.
It wouldn't surprise you. So like your claim that somehow these were not aired is complete and utter horseshit. They were absolutely aired and responded to. You don't believe the response. That's the truth.
The response
you don't even
is
know what
not
the response is.
satisfactory to somebody who wants complete and total transparency.
Yeah, complete total transparency means Trump wins. Where's the complete and
not necessarily.
complete and total transparency in the 2016 election?
Let me just say this: if there was meaningful audits to basic auditing standards conducted in all of these swing states, and it turns out Trump
That
lost,
happened
then
in
so be it.
Arizona.
No,
That happened in Arizona.
No, not
you said
necessarily.
the Arizona audit was sufficient, and you don't accept
That's
it.
not what I said. That's not what I said.
Yes. Wait,
not
you
what I
did
said.
say the Arizona audit was sufficient, didn't you?
That's not what I said. No.
Was it sufficient or insufficient?
The audit produced evidence that there was irregularities, and the
sufficient
scope of the
or
audit was incredibly
insufficient as an
limited.
audit?
It
Was the
needed to
audit
be
in Arizona-
expanded
was the Arizona
beyond
audit
Maricopa
sufficient or
County.
insufficient? Was the Arizona audit sufficient or insufficient?
In what way? Be specific.
In whatever way you define sufficient.
It was not sufficient because the scope was entirely limited.
How should the scope have been appropriate for the Arizona audit such that it would be sufficient?
Include more counties. Do Apache County.
Wait, they did every single county, didn't they?
No. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Because I'm not.
Is it your position that the cyber ninjas, I could be wrong about this, that they did not oversee an audit of every single county in
It
Arizona?
wasn't every single county, no. I don't believe that to be accurate.
How many counties are in Arizona?
I don't know.
Okay. Why don't we find that out? This is a claim that we can look at, right? Voting.
I mean, I'm surprised that you have so much faith in this process, and you're kind of pushing back on my calls and my beliefs about transparency when you seemingly belong to the left. I mean,
wait, you're correct. They only did Maricopa County. Okay.
yeah, no shit.
So Maricopa County.
I mean, come on, man. You're supposed to school me on this.
Maricopa.
And again, I didn't prepare. I'm doing this all off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm verifying it. That's why it's important to verify. Do you believe the election in states like Texas and
Oh shit. I lost the Discord feed. I don't know what's happening. Give me 1 second, you guys. What the hell? Hold up. Hold up. Let me get back in track here. Dude, what the fuck happened to Discord? Give me 1 second, you guys. Bear with me. Hold up. The fuck is happening here? All right. We're having technological differences. Shit, man. Listen, you got a single W in 2 hours. Don't let it get to your head. No, dude, that's actually not true. I mean, I'm making a very, very simple point, and it seems to be going over his head, and he wants to meander on one state when there is an underlying problem with, you know, just in general with the way that elections are conducted after the 2020 election or during the 2020 election. What the fuck is happening? Oh my goodness. All right. Can you guys let him know? Let him know in the chat that my Discord just took a fat shit for no reason. This has never happened before. Let me see. Let's check for updates. Dude, it's just a giant gray screen. Am I even live? Yeah, I haven't dropped any frames. We'll prove him wrong, then move on to the next. Yeah, dude, we're gonna have to move on to the next because, like I said, we just fundamentally disagree. And oh my god, dude, what is happening? Why is this being such a bastard? Hold up. Close out of that. Yeah. Dude, I honestly don't understand why Discord stopped working. Hold up. Driver booster. Let's see if we can go ahead and update this really quick. Wait, did he? I didn't leave. No, he didn't leave. Nobody left. We were having a conversation here. It just, my Discord took a fat shit. Give me 1 second, you guys. Yeah, the guy does got spunk. I'll give him that. Shit. Can you tell him to? Fuck's my phone. Here it is. Here, I'm gonna message him really quick. Dude, Discord crash. No reason. Give me a moment. Dude. What in the fucking world? Discord, gray screen, nothing happening. Gray or black screen in Discord can occur for a number of reasons, including network glitches, incorrect settings, or storage issues. There's no storage issues here. I have a pretty big hard drive. Can you explain exactly what formerly made you an election expert? Yeah, because I worked in elections, dude. I worked every aspect of an election. And again, I don't do that work anymore. And like I said, there's just a fundamental disagreement on how these things occur. I mean, he obviously wants to trust the process because, you know, he gets a favorable result. Let's see, task manager. Give me one moment. All right, so Discord plugin, Stream Deck. All right, we're gonna end this task. Discord plugin. Let's go ahead and end these tasks. Just type in Discord here. Give me 1 second. ESG Discord plugin. Yeah. End the task. Okay. I have no idea if that's going to make a difference, but one could hope. Oh my fucking god. Ask him if he's got like a StreamYard or something I can join. You guys do that for me? Ask him if he's got like a StreamYard or something. I want Biden to win in 2020. This dude literally did like canvassing or worked as an intern on a campaign. No. I was a canvas manager. I was an aide. I did important shit. The only unpaid work I did was volunteering for Bernie Sanders' campaign. Okay. Dude, this is unbelievable. Hold up. Alt enter. Wow, it fucking sucks. Ready to move on. Yeah, short of restarting my PC, dude, I don't know what to do. So if you, let's see, can you do Discord? Let me see. Maybe. I can probably do it on my phone. Give me 1 second. Outputs. Let's do system, Bluetooth, searching for a device. Let's see if this produces a more meaningful result. We'll see. Let's see, details. There's my scan, there's my roadcaster. Pair. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and try to join once again. All right, so he's in there. Join call. All right. Yo, what up, dude? Can you hear me?
Someone.
Yeah.
Harry Lake on the one hand.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, but I'm echoing.
Oh shit. Hold up. Fuck. Give me 1 second. Outputs. Monitoring. No. Oh, dude, I literally listen. No. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, we can't really hear you that well.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Would you be able to turn me up in let me see. Yeah, because I'm on mobile right now. Vance output routing. Fuck, I can't even wow, I'm really fucking neutered here.
Did Zuckerberg get you?
I suppose, dude. Like, Discord just took a fucking shit on my PC, bro. Like, it's really upsetting, and I can't even fucking update it. Like, when I go to open it up,
No.
yeah, when I go to open it up, it's just like a gray screen on my desktop.
Yeah, I'm sorry I got heated too. I don't know what to do. Yeah, you did frustrate me a little bit because I felt like you were being a little obtuse.
No, I don't agree with that assertion. I mean, look, we're obviously not gonna really agree. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree that it was an insurrection. I'm glad we got there.
I don't agree with that at all. I mean, is that really? We should probably go there.
I'm fucking with you. Just fix your shit. No one can hear you.
Give me a second. God damn it, man.
Check your Discord. Get off the browser.
I'm not on
Do
the
a
browser.
risk limiting audit.
Hold up. Fuck. So fucking stupid. Let's see. Yeah, no, my computer still works. Destiny's shit probably went down because he's like watching porn or something. I don't know. He's probably into that. These windows. Hold up. Let me run it as administrator. That should fix it, maybe. I gotta restart my PC, dude. It's the only thing I can think of. Give me one moment, guys. I'm gonna restart this. It's only gonna take like 2 minutes.